Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do a video about kind of my thoughts on the sports collecting hobby. I just threw a couple cards back there in the background, some random pickups. 92 Donruss Elite, Ken Griffey Jr. That's a kind of cool one. It's kind of like an original refractory type card. Judge rookie, um, Mahomes rookie to commemorate the win in the Super Bowl. And then super famous 1990 score Bo Jackson. But let's throw those in the background. I'm not going to really talk about the cards. Just wanted to put something out there, just so it's not just the normal Nolan Ryan, which I love, but change up the background a little bit. But today I wanted to do a video on my thoughts on just sports card collecting in general. But before I do that, I wanted to call out a few channels. First, I'd really like to thank Angry Old Man and Three Good Nerds for recommending my channel to on their videos to other people. Next, I'd like to thank Clemente Collector and Legends of the Dugout for their support. They're some of my original subscribers and they watch and comment on almost all of my videos. And thirdly, I'd like to call out Jeff Tompkins at Jeff Tompkins 8378 for his absolutely hilarious pack break videos. Guys, I'd really recommend you check these out. Again, it's Jeff Tompkins 8378. He only has 3 videos and 1 subscriber, but his pack breaks are absolutely hilarious. Now, back to my thoughts on card collecting. So, first thing I think about when I think about the collection is you want to set a strategy, right? What types of cards do you want to collect? For me, it's primarily baseball, but we'll pick up occasional football, basketball, hockey, golf, boxing, etc. I just like sports cards, but primarily baseball. Then what players and sets do you want to collect, right? So I started with a player, Nolan Ryan, and collected his base top card from every playing year. After that, I didn't have a plan, so I started buying all kinds of cards, different sports, modern, vintage, etc. After I sort of chased the market in 2020 and 2021, buying way overpriced modern cards, I decided to lock down my plan. I'm going to start collecting the rookie cards of the greatest of all time from baseball. And then once that's done, the GOATs from the other sports, right? I may do some other player sets, but that's down the road. But not having a strategy after my Nolan Ryan collection, I wasted a lot of money buying cards I really don't care about. It's important to stick to a plan. Not saying that you shouldn't pick up an interesting card when you see it, but keeping focused really helps the journey be less stressful. So I probably spent what I spent on some modern cards that I really don't care about just because they were real popular at the time. I could have purchased a lot of the greatest of all time rookies that I don't have now that have gone up in value a lot, and a lot of the modern ones that I had purchased because they were hot at the time have gone down, so I can't even really sell them to get the other ones anymore. So it's really important to set that strategy and follow the strategy and stick to it. The next thing I think about is setting a budget. This is a tough one, right? So it happens to me all the time. Once I get on a roll and I start picking up some cards, I just keep going and going and going. But it's really important to try to set that budget and stick to it, right? To me, this is the most important piece of collecting. If you don't manage your budget well, it doesn't just have impacts on your collecting, it has impacts on your bank account, on your relationships with your family, and your stress level. So it's really important to not get overly excited and go buy stuff that is outside of your budget. And I know it's really tough, especially for me when I go to a card show. I'll set a budget, I'll walk in and say, okay, great. I'll put the cash in my pocket. So I'll say, I'll bring the cash. My budget is X. I'll have that in my pocket. I'll start picking up some cards and that'll fit within the budget. And then I'll see something that said, oh my God, I really want that card. So I'll put it on my credit card. And then after I do that, I kind of feel like an idiot because I broke the budget and now I'm going to kind of stress myself out a little bit until I could, pay that back off. And it's really important to stick to that budget once you set it. So everyone budgets differently, right? I realize that breaking the budget every once in a while will get me the gold cards sooner, but it's not really worth the risk, like I said before, right? I've accepted buying gold cards at lower grades in the future to avoid breaking the budget now. So that last point I think is important. You'll see a card and say, I really want this card. Like for me, let's say the 51 Bowman Mantle rookie card. I've seen that card. It's gone up in value a lot over the last couple of years. But every time I want to save up and purchase it and I see it and it's available, I don't quite have the money, so I don't do it. And then it just keeps going up. But I've told myself, look, at some point you'll have enough to buy it, so just wait. The biggest thing though with the budget is to remember that collecting is fun, guys, right? Breaking the budget ruins the enjoyment. So let's just not do it, right? Taking the risk of breaking the budget makes you more of a speculator than a collector, anyways, right? And I think a lot of us are really more of a collector than anything else. I think we love the cards. Yes, it's great when they go up in value, but we love the cards for the card's sake, right? So let's not be speculators and let's not break the budget. So I think it's really important we got to stick to that budget. All right, so the next piece I think about when I think about collecting is protection, right? And when I think of protection, I think about both the storage, so protecting the cards from damage, and security, protecting the cards from theft. So what I do, and I think we all do it our own way, but what I do is I keep my commons in those white baseball storage boxes, right? You can buy them at any card store. They're the kind of box that the complete sets sort of come in. So I put my commons in there, but for my non-commons that really aren't worth grading, I put in a binder because you never know, they might become gradable at some point, right? You might get a rookie retro fractor numbered card of somebody who you've never heard of, right? A new rookie hasn't done much. You never know. In 2-3 years, you could start having great seasons, and that card could be worth something. So it's really good to keep it in the binder so it's protected. For potential gradable cards, right? Like you open a pack, and you get say a Mike Trout card or a Vlad Guerrero card, and they're numbered out of say 10. I like to put those in the top holders like immediately. Same with when I buy a card at a show. If it's raw, I like to put it in the top holder immediately. For my slab cards, I keep the majority of them in a slab card specific storage box. It's sort of like the common storage box, but it's bigger and it's designed to put the slab cards in. And then, every once in a while, I like to look at my cards. So I do have a display case in my office where I, maybe have 15, 20 cards that I really enjoy looking at. I'll put those in the display case so I can look at them at really any given time. And then for the higher end cards, when I don't have them either here to do a video or to just, take a look at, I keep them in the safe deposit box just because they need to be protected. I also recommend, and I do this as well, is I have an insurance, a memorabilia insurance policy. There's a lot of different companies that do it, but if your collection is valued at a level that would kind of hurt you financially if it were to be stolen or destroyed, I think it's important to have it insured. So even if you've got the cards in a safe deposit box, obviously they're not going to stay there forever. You're going to bring them back to the house every once in a while to look at. So it's always good to just have them insured. So next piece of the collecting hobby that I think is important to talk about is buying cards, right? That's kind of the whole purpose, right? Buying the card and getting the card. So I typically buy my cards from eBay, local card shows, card shops, and sometimes the bigger auctions. When I buy on eBay, I assess the pricing and see if there are any cards in the condition that I'm looking for at the price I'm willing to pay. If there is, I'll typically click on it, then I'll zoom in on the front and back images that they provide to make sure that they have acceptable corners, are well centered, have good registration, have no print marks on them. That's a big one too. I think a lot of times because the photos on eBay are pretty small, you don't always see the print marks, and then you'll buy a card and you'll look at it when you see it in real size, and there'll be a print mark on it. So I think it's important to zoom in and make sure that doesn't have that on there. If that all works out, I'll either make an offer or buy it now. If not, I'll move on to the next one. If I see a gold card that's on auction at eBay, I'll typically bid up to about 75% of what the buy it now price is. But once it crosses that threshold, I'd rather just buy it now, right? I can pick the card up with the best centering. I could pick a different one, right? If it's an auction, it's that card. If it gets close enough to the buy it now, you could look at other cards, other similar cards, and maybe get one that's a little bit nicer. And if you're that close to the price anyways, for me personally, I'd rather just buy it at the buy it now price, get the exact one I want, and get it sooner versus having the stress of waiting for the auction to close and have somebody outbid you in the last 2 seconds, which has happened to me a bunch of times. When I buy a card at a card shop or at a card show, I tend to look very closely at the card and condition, and I typically only try to buy graded cards at the card shows. I verify that the card's legitimate and the grade is real by entering the serial number into the grader's database on my phone. A few times they've come back as unknown, so I don't buy those, right? So you got to be really careful because I've purchased a card before. I think I've talked about it in another video. I had a 33 Gaudi Melot that was an SGC holder, but it was fake. So I bought it. I didn't realize I could check the serial number. I came home, I put it in the case, loved it, and then I kept looking at it every once in a while and said, wow, that thing looks way too good to be that great. So then finally I realized I could look up the serial number on SGC's website, which I did, and it came back as fake, right? Like it was an unknown serial number. So you got to just be real careful about that. I also sometimes at the shows will walk off. I'll see the card, I'll look at it. If I like it, I'll walk away and then I'll pull up my phone and check the comps on eBay or PSA's website to ensure that the price that they're asking is reasonable. I can usually get a better deal at the show or the card store, but it is slightly riskier because eBay does now guarantee authenticity. And then I sometimes buy cards at the big auction houses. Many of them are very reputable, and I have no concern purchasing cards from them. Usually, though, the cards get very pricey, plus there's a 20% buyer's premium, so that typically drives the price up even more. I found that auctions are very best for the super specific rare cards that you're looking for, something that you never see on eBay or you'll never see at shows. And they're just tougher to find, right? And then really, if you don't want to do that, the other option is just to wait till the national, because typically at the national you could find almost any card you're looking for there. Next piece of the hobby after buying would be selling. So I typically don't sell because I'm a collector, not an investor. That being said, though, when cards I own go up in value, it's great, right? Problem is, it also means that my gold cards are getting more expensive. Since I've only been in the hobby for about 4 years or so, I'm not at the point yet where I want to sell a card to buy up to a better card because there's still new cards I want to pick up. But I'm hoping at some point I might sell some here and there so that I could maybe sell a 6 and go buy put some more money into it and go buy maybe like a 7 or an 8 in a certain card. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't really think of selling as something I'm interested in at this point, just because again I view myself as a collector, not an investor. And then I think the last and probably the most important part of collecting is enjoying it and sharing it with others. So, I love to look at my cards. If I have a stressful day at work, it helps me relax. I enjoy sharing the hobby with my friends and family. And of course, recently I found that I truly enjoy creating content to share on YouTube. It's just such a great community and everyone is so passionate about their collecting. It's just a real joy. I mean, this is something I just really, really enjoy doing. So I hope you guys liked the video of me kind of talking about my thoughts on the hobby in general and, all the different pieces that I think are important. If you like the video, hit like. If you like all of them, if you like a few of my videos or all of them, hit subscribe. I really appreciate it. But thanks for watching. See you next time.